our next speaker is Kalayan. He's from Architect at Electrobase and he's a well-known face. So we are now moving on from quantum work to the already mainstream AI world. So you might remember at the last meeting today, Ankaios gave a free machine talk and demo on Eclipse LMOS, which is now a SMB project. Eclipse LMOS is an AI agent orchestrator, and now we are going to be seeing how LMOS and Ankaios, which is a standard business orchestrator, can work together. And
I had just a second because I want to make a live demo and I need both my slide over.
okay, so we have a number of great people today that really want to do live demo.
Two Rubik cubes now.
All right. So, hi guys, my name is Colin, I'm from Automotive, and I'm on the Ankaios project, as you see. So what I'm going to present you today is AI-powered orchestration with Eclipse Ankaios and Eclipse LMOS, so both are Eclipse projects. And I'm not on the LMOS team, as I said, so we use the project. We actually learned from it from one of Silas' emails that few projects are coming in, and already there we had some interest, but I'm going to talk about the details in a second. So let's just start now. Just let me give you a brief agenda of what you are going to see then in my presentation. So I'll just start with a short introduction first and tell you what the whole story is about. Then afterwards I'm going to present it with LMOS. As I said, I'm not on the LMOS team, so I'll do my best here. Then we're going to talk about Ankaios a bit, and as you see, the agenda is quite short, so most of the things that we're going to see today is in the live demo session, where we're going hopefully to have some fun there and see how the whole thing is working. And then after a short wrap-up, we can do a Q&A session, and if you have some funny ideas what we can do with the LLM, we can also do that. So what's the whole story about? AI-powered orchestration with Ankaios Eclipse. The target is, well, take two of Eclipse project, Ankaios and LMOS, and get the happy developer at the end, right? This is what we want to achieve, and it's all about improving project accessibility, at least as a start thing. So at Ankaios, we are doing our best somehow to bring people in, to show them how easy it is to use it, to bring them to the concepts and to the ideas of orchestration and what the whole thing is about. But it's true, we also have quite a comprehensive documentation. I think people that have used Ankaios can confirm this. And still we wanted to make it even better somehow, in a sense. And this is also the point where we saw the presentation from Kai Kortzer at the last meeting today. And we really liked it, especially because of the tools that you can use with an LLM, because this is something new. At least it's recent, let's say it like this. So what you can actually do with this is provide some kind of an initial sandbox to explain the concepts of your product. And this is not only about Ankaios, but you can actually do this for your own projects, get developers somehow into them really quickly. To provide an initial sandbox and guide the new user to the basics of your product. Okay? So this can showcase then the product capabilities and all of this in a natural language kind of way, right? Which is really nice and really easy. So So let's start with LMOS. I have to repeat again, I'm not on the LMOS team, so I will try to do my best here presenting LMOS. The QR code, if you follow it, you'll just go to the organization of LMOS, where you can read the documentation, go to the project, and so on and so on. So in their own words, LMOS is this is the language model operating system, if you're not familiar with. And in their own words, it's an open source, sovereign, vendor, and digital platform to build and run enterprise-grade multi-agent systems on cloud or on-prem. Or with simple words, the idea is to build LLM-powered AI agents that you can use to actually make a network of agents, or an internet of agents, which has then kind of a distributed intelligence and can help you solve problems, and combine it with the tools that we can now give to AI. It's really, really powerful because you can not only ask questions and summarize things so you get the information, but what we're going to see in a second is that you can actually control your whole system with it. Out of LMOS, what we are using is LMOS Arc. And this is what I'm going to do a presentation with today. So we're going to see the LMOS Arc graphical user interface in a second, and chat with our special purpose agent and instrument our customer. And Arc is a Kotlin AI agent framework, so it's a domain-specific language for writing agents and tools, and it provides you some graphical user interface so you can work with it. If you want to know even more on LMOS, there was an article about them in the recent newsletter from the Eclipse Foundation, so you can also read this one. There are also some videos here, it's really great, I can recommend it. And now about Eclipse Ankaios. So as you see, we have a lot of features, and we can either go to this complete list here, or we can really go to the live demo and have some fun with that. Just a side note, if you want to go to our repository, just follow the QR code or Google. If you like it, give us a star, we'll really care about it. And now to the live demo. So what I'm going to show you here, I have prepared actually a repository for this. It's based on a demo repository from LMOS Arc. And I just added a dev container on so that I can easily start it up and integrate it with Ankaios. So Ankaios is already installed in the dev container. What you're seeing here is currently on a public repository, but on my own private organization, my GitHub account, but we're going to make it public in some way. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to talk about this too. And what you see here on the right side is a window just to make a point and prove that Ankaios is not working. If I just execute here get workload, so you don't need to understand this, but you see that there is no server and there is nothing here running. Okay, we get it again. And what you see in the window here is my Ankaios assistant. Just also to prove the point here, how easy it is to write it. So this is just natural language, okay? So I specified in the domain-specific language of Arc, my agent. It just knows that it's a helpful assistant. It has a bit of information on Ankaios. It has an example manifest with some comments, and that's really it. I also wrote a couple of tools. Just an example here, there is an apply Ankaios manifest tool. So this are special purpose functions kind of, which connect your LLM to the real world, because you still need to execute some, to talk with some real APIs. So this is kind of the glue code for it. And yeah, so much for these things. And this is the Arc graphical user interface, and I hope you can read it. If you cannot read it, I can also much zoom. We cannot see the events otherwise. Okay, and now I'll just hop on the role of somebody that doesn't know Ankaios at all and has no idea from it, because this is the point, right? And I'm going to ask, and I also don't know what I'm doing here. I see Ankaios Assistant, but what is this thing? So how can you help me? And I hope my internet connection works fine. And I got the answer. I can provide some information about Ankaios, assist with running and managing an Ankaios demo chapter,
nice, a demo cluster, and answer questions about the cluster state. Additionally, I can also guide you on how to set up your own Ankaios cluster, provide details, and so on and so on and so on, but I have no idea what Ankaios is. So I'm just going to ask it what is Ankaios. So in the background, we are just using GPT-4o, so it's using the ChatGPT API. If you check out the repository, I said you can theoretically also do it already now, but we're going to publish it in some other way. We have to figure out if we want to do a blueprint out of the whole thing, which would be actually great, but we can maybe talk after the session and get also some other projects on it to get it even more interesting, let's say. Otherwise, we'll just put it on the Ankaios organizations page, but I hope we can get a blueprint out of it because it will be. So Ankaios is a lightweight embedded workload orchestrator designed for edge devices. So let's say for cars and their small microcontrollers there. It functions as a cluster consisting of a single Ankaios server and one or more Ankaios agents. The Ankaios server manages the cluster while the agents are responsible for running workloads on various parts of the edge device, communication, and so on and so on. But I am kind of the visual guy, so visualize. And I mean, this is just what a normal user would do, right? So I have an Ankaios server in the upper side and an Ankaios agent. So this is a basic example. It's just generated. I have to say a warning beforehand. So it's an LLM, it's AI, it's never deterministic. But that's also the nice thing about it, kind of, because you can naturally interact with it. But on the other hand, you have to understand that you have to pinpoint the use case properly. So here it gave me just one agent, and I can also ask it. And I have more agents. Yes, an Ankaios cluster can have more than one agent. So if I ask it again to visualize it, it would visualize again a server with two agents and so on and so on. But just make the point, it's an LLM, it's not always completely deterministic. But it's also asking me here, if you are running a demo Ankaios cluster, I can help you to start it with more agents. If you need more details, detailed guidance on setting up the cluster with additional agents, feel free to ask. And I'm going to share it to Ankaios.
Right.
I'm going to start a cluster with two agents, and I'm going to ask you now politely for two names to make the point here. So we can, of course, go with HPC1 and HPC2 or Shikas or whatever, but just ideas, names.
Yeah, punch.
J and K.
Sorry?
J and K.
J and K. I like Starsky and Hutch.
But let's find Romeo. Because I kept to get my veteran. We hold that one.
Alpha and Romeo, okay.
With an F, but
yeah. You want the alpha, another alpha character. Why not? To be a Romeo and Juliet and afterwards, but okay, so let's see what goes. What happens. So we have an Ankaios cluster which was successfully started with two agents, Alpha and Romeo. If you need any further assistance or want to manage workloads on this cluster, please let me know. What we see on the right side here is the function that's actually executed. So you see it executed my start Ankaios cluster function. So this is what I just said with the connection to the real world, okay? So at the end, what we have here with the assistant, it's to a kind of a program because we programmed the assistant, right? In a way, we told it what it should do. And this is now the connection to the real world where you can actually do the things. And just to prove the point, when we executed unget workloads, we got nothing. And if I execute it now, we'll see that we do have workloads there. And if I get the agents, I also see my two agents, Alpha and Romeo, and their usage. So this is now running in my container here. So the resource usage is just exactly the same because it's running on the same machine, but you can also deploy them on separate machines and you get something else. All right. And now just to visualize this one too. So, and it would now generate, you see it, it's called the get Ankaios state function. So it's getting really the real-time state out of my cluster and providing me a nice diagram this time with two agents, because we have two agents, and also with their appropriate resource allocations here. But that's quite nice, but I want to now see how the thing is working, right? So the target of Ankaios is to run on a vehicle. So it's targeted at embedded devices, but we are especially writing it for vehicles, right? And I'm not going to talk here largely about architectures and so on, but in theory, you would normally have one central HPC where most of the things are running. And there you would have your server and maybe an agent running on the side. And there will be another one or multiple other ones which are running different workloads. And the whole idea of Ankaios is to get the whole thing really dynamic. So really start workloads dynamically during the runtime, bring them down when I don't need them so that I can free up resources for other ones and so on and so on. And this is something that a developer or an integrator should try out, right? And this is the whole point here. So instead of setting his own environment, I can now say, run a workload name X that runs container. And I should specify on which node it should run. On agent, let's say Romeo. And forward, let's say 1899. As said, so it's a bit undeterministic. You can definitely tell it some things that should be done beforehand. In this case, it directly generated the configuration that I needed without asking me anything. So it directly knew what it could do and started the workload. As you see on the other side, on the right side, I have called the apply Ankaios manifest function and it all runs. I can also prove it here by getting the workload and it's there. And I can also show it to you here that I am indeed forwarding the port properly and I can access it. And now, just to prove another point, run a second workload name test, same configuration. I mean, if I want to do kind of a load test, this is what I'll do, right? I'll just start 10 workloads with the same configuration and see what happens. And it would generate the same configuration, but this is the nice thing about it. If I just give you a tutorial and give you execute the tutorial, you could get into some problems and then you'll probably be angry about the tool because it doesn't run properly and it's just that you did not instrument it as it was intended to. And what I get here, it's not possible to start a second workload forwarding the same port 8099 to the same agent as it would result in a port conflict. So it directly warned me about something that I would directly fall into as a user that doesn't know anything about it, and asks me, would you like to use a different port for this workload, or do you have other changes in mind? And I can directly tell it, run the workload, and let's say use port 95. It would just recreate the configuration, apply the Ankaios manifest, as you see on the right side, and start it properly. We can also try this one out, just to prove the point. Close to 95, and this one is working too. So it's really nice, right? You can do it in a way that you just guide your user to your tutorial, let's say, and show him all the capabilities of your product without the big hustle, without having to deal even with the manifest. I can ask it here to give me the manifest. So workload test, and it will just get the Ankaios state, apparently think a bit about it, and then show me the manifest here. As you see, it directly works. You can still get the information, the detailed information from Ankaios side. In theory, you can also play with it as long as you get your configuration properly done, then extract the configuration, and if you are up to it, you can theoretically run it in production or connect this thing to a production cluster and run it there if you are really bold. But it's really nice that you can also play a bit with features with it. So in the last couple of months, we also added some new features to Ankaios. For example, the workload configurations. They're supposed to help you when you have like a relatively complex configuration, for example. And let's say in this case, I'm using this port 8095. And let's imagine that somebody else wants to connect to it. If I just every time write the port manually somewhere, it would mess up. So it would be better to write a configuration that uses it. And I can tell it now, update the manifest, going to use a config item for the forwarded port. Oh, as said, it's through AI, and I hope it does what it should do, but it did it properly. You see, it just generated me config item here at the end, and it's properly following actually the Ankaios syntax of specifying configuration and properly forwards the port. I can also, so it did not apply, it just showed me the configuration because this is what I asked it to, right? Update the manifest. And I can now tell it to apply the manifest, and yeah, it would just call the GPT-4o, then call the function, apply it here on my machine, and it would just tell me that everything worked properly, and if I need further assistance, I can do something else. We can also start some other containers. It's not a problem. I will leave it up to you if you want to think about it for afterwards in the Q&A session. I can also delete workloads with it. I can tell it to delete workload test, and it will just go and delete the workload. We can also generate, for example, a table view of the workloads. So at the end, as you see, it's getting the Ankaios state. It's doing everything that a normal user would somehow try to do with Ankaios in a really nice, well, natural language matter. If you connect it with some voice recognition and voice generation, it would get even more fun, I suppose. I can also just shut down the cluster now. And yeah, so that's it for the live demo. As said, I'll just prepare another. Yeah. And I'm going to go back to this slide again. So that's it for the demo. Let's just do a short wrap up. As you just saw, LLM agents can be used to lower the barrier of actually exploring new technologies this way. It's a really easy setup. So if you provide a development container for this thing, and just publish it somewhere. Your users can just download the container. So download the repository, then start the container. You just need somewhere to run the container, of course. You don't need a lot of time. You get a lot of guidance. The thing actually also helps you with avoiding some common errors. And instead of writing huge question and answer sections, you can just instruct your agent to guide your users through the whole story. I do have some additional observations here at that point. So we, as said, have quite a comprehensive documentation actually. But still, I tried in the beginning to connect it directly to our documentation instead of instructing the agent actually what it should do. But what humans need as documentation is a bit different than what an LLM needs. So it needs summarized, more summarized text, and humans do not normally think like this. They would like to see some pictures that are showing diagrams. You can definitely also go this way, but what I would definitely more recommend is maybe putting a special documentation for LLMs where you can connect it to. And then you, instead of writing your agent, you can probably write this just a general purpose agent that can grab the documentation beforehand. It's not a problem. In the standard use cases of LMOS, they are grabbing web content, so it's not a problem at all. And you can, in theory, also do the functions with some MCP. So this is the hot new thing, right? And connect it there, publish the functions online, and then get the information from there. Another interesting thing is I'm really happy that it all went well, but in, let's say, 1-2% of the cases, it starts hallucinating a bit and tells interesting things like there are two servers in the system or shows them. But if you ask it, it will tell the correct things. So just choose your question, your use case well, right? For getting into a project, it's really nice. But if you want to do something really productive with it, yeah, you can analyze your running system with it, definitely. If you want to deploy something, well, you should think about it. So what we are definitely doing, we are going to bring out a new feature soon with dry run, so you can see what it's going to do with your cluster before you actually do the changes of your cluster. So maybe you can connect it with something like this. And again, the shout out, I think a bigger use case is certainly possible and makes sense. So maybe we can just connect a couple of projects from our community and get them all together, make a bigger use case where you can really talk with, chat with the LLM and get some demo system like running even with demonstration applications. And I would really be happy to talk with you if you have some ideas there on that topic. Just come to us. We're here with Oliver, and we can discuss what we can do about it. So that's it for my presentation. I'm happy to hear also your thoughts, or if you want to do something funny with the LLM again, everything is set up. So Q&A time.
Yeah, it should be on. Thank you a lot for my thought. I love that. It's really cool. What I didn't really got is how did you train the agent from behind?
It's not trained at all. It's just connected to the OpenAI API to GPT-4o, and the agent itself, it's only this text here. It's just natural language specification. You are a helpful assistant. This is how a configuration looks like. Only answer questions in concise and short way, or the knowledge is if the customer would like to know about the standalone setup of Ankaios, for example, it would fetch some web content, summarize it, and spit it back. Or if the customer would like to delete the workload without stopping the demo cluster, use the stop Ankaios workload function. So it's just a natural language description of what you actually want to do. So if you have a human helper, let's say, somebody at the help desk who helps your users, you will do the same, right? You just give him a piece of paper which has written information on your product, and he'll just follow it. And this is the same thing, just automated.
Be more precise, the AI model, does it have any knowledge about
it? Doesn't have any knowledge about Ankaios or about orchestration or about anything. It's just general purpose. As said, if you also try out the things, so LMOS, it's vendor neutral. It uses the OpenAI interfaces, but you can, as far as I know, in the latest releases also use Azure or anything. So just a general purpose LLM model would suffice you.
Thank you so much.
It's the ARC tool, right?
This is the demo repository of Arc. So it actually fetches Arc and uses the agent itself. So I should also say this. So this is the AI agent, and on Ankaios side we also have the Ankaios agents, but this is now an overloaded word somehow. But still, the Ankaios agent is the thing that runs the workload, and this is the thing that helps you accomplish your task.
That means that agent is running on the Ankaios cluster itself, or it's a different agent running on the same device?
No, it's in the same dev container. I'm running the Arc framework, and beside it, the cluster doesn't necessarily need to run the whole time. So as you saw in the beginning, I was not running it. It just runs the tools, which are running in the same dev container, and the tool is executing commands in the dev container. So this is my sandbox.
And with tools, agents, that the LMOS agent is can execute exactly an API for the agents to execute. So this was the job to do. So if I want to have any other open source project to work with LMOS,
you just have to specify your LMOS agent. Just write the text and write your tools in Kotlin, and that's it. It's really, really easy to get it somehow working, and I can definitely recommend it because it's, as you saw, you can get the user get into your product in half an hour, I think, and he would understand all the concepts and he'll be able to try it out. Other questions?
maybe the economic implementation. We export the Ankaios API as an MTP set.
No, it's just using regular commands. So it's starting a process and just calling the Ank CLI. This was the easiest way how I can connect it. If we want to do it in production, in a production system, I would let it actually talk to a workload. You know, we have our control interface, and I would let it communicate from inside the cluster. I would not give it the power to really stop and start a cluster in a production setup, because it can shoot itself down then.
Yeah, for that, because I've been thinking a little bit about design, and I've been finding out that why we have designed our API that's not really easy or natural language doing that funny thing. The LLM, when they solve the API, they hallucinate with by smart, and essentially redesigning the API, something that's getting no way for the things.
You can do it in a lot of ways now. It really depends on the use case. So what I wanted to show here is just for the happy developer kind of, right? This is what the target was, but there are a lot of use cases. You can definitely put it also inside, and then probably HTTP or some other protocol would be better, or as said, directly inside the workload, and then directly accessing the control interface, or you have some glue code in between.
So we have a couple of questions from the audience online. So the first from Nachi, can you elaborate a bit more on your thoughts on LMOS SDV blueprints use case? Is there legends for each blueprint or a more general agent that suggests blueprint-based SDV project? To the agent that suggests the blueprint.
Okay, so the idea was to build more like we can also put it on an existing blueprint. It's not a problem. what we were thinking on, because we have now the connection to Ankaios, was to start from that side and also add something new, for example, a communication protocol, Zeno, or something like this, and then also put a demo application on it. We saw last time Kai presented it with one of our blueprints, with getting information. I would definitely follow up on this one, and Nachi, maybe we can talk in one of the blueprint meetings and discuss this. I think it's just really cool, and you can directly get the point of the blueprint then with it. But what I was wanting to talk about today now after the presentation is really to get something a bit bigger so that we can show a bigger use case really with smooth for applications maybe. And there were some people from some companies that were thinking about also demo applications. So let's see.
The second question, so maybe missing the main concept, my understanding is chatbots, if let's say this doesn't change the form to play, but instead of writing comments and you are writing natural language.
This is absolutely correct, and this is completely the use case. So it's just getting into the topic quickly, not having to read. So we do have a lot of documentation, and this is needed if you really want to get into the product really into depth. But you can also chat with this thing. You can also write more knowledge. You can write more tools to get the distinct page and discuss it with the chatbot. So yeah, that's exactly the point.
I think.
Then
Yep.
I put that.
I was very impressed with implying that the port has already been occupied. So now I see a little cheat line there. I know it's not so much impressed anymore, but I have a similar question regarding the manifest. Do you have some instructions on how to create the manifest, or did it derive that as Excel?
This is the instructions for the manifest. So
Okay, I see.
we started with an iterative approach, right? At the beginning, it was just you're an assistant that can help with Ankaios, and that was it. When we asked it to generate some manifests, it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It's just an LLM, right? It's not deterministic. To get it somehow into a bit more deterministic execution workflow, you have to tell it a bit. So, for example, in the beginning, we had restart policy, and there was something specified, and it thought that it should always specify the restart policy somehow. And then after adding a comment that is optional and can be omitted and just take one of these values, it works perfectly fine. So you're saying now it's kind of cheating with the ports, but you're just saying what problems can occur, right? So this is what you would also do in the Q&A.
Is the template language that you're using there, is that somehow defined by LMOS? It's for the manifest, or would that also work, for example, with a formal schema syntax?
It would work with everything. The almost specific things, the DOS, the domain specific language, it's just this, what the name is, what the description is, and what the prompt is. The prompt itself, it doesn't follow any particular structure. This is now more for me as a human, so that I know which section is where and how to edit it. But you can just put this to Open Web UI and specify an agent there, or just put it in a general LLM and put it in the prompt. It would work. Great. Thank you.